Man, that is moving some air. Holy crap. I can feel it on my toes. Down underneath the Jeep, I'm going to be revisiting this track bar mount right here. And as you can see, I've already drilled a new hole right there. I'm gonna get the light on it. Yeah. So I did weld it completely at the top and all around and everything, but anytime that I do a drop mount on especially a Cherokee or a Comanche, I like to put a brace that runs from this track bar to the other side. On my Comanche, what I did was I just fabricated something. It took me a couple of days to, get it right and everything like that. Well, Rusty's actually has a kit that you can buy. This was like $100, and this of course is only supposed to work with Rusty's drop down track bar mount and not a rough country. So this one is supposed to put you're supposed to put the bolt for the track bar right there and then run it through, but like I said, of course this wouldn't work for the rough country, and instead of cutting this all up and making it go over this, I just drilled a hole right there, and I'm going to be putting this in the track bar mount right here with a bolt in it, a grade 8 bolt, and that's definitely going to be helping out absorb some of the pressure that this track bar is going to put on this track bar mount. It mounts in these holes right up here at the top. I went ahead and put the grade 8 bolts that came with the kit all the way through, and now I'm just going to go ahead and tighten everything up and get it all nice and secure. So I'm gonna feed this up right through here. I'm gonna get my bolt. This is a bolt I just had in the shop. I'm gonna line it up right there. I'm just gonna push it through, and that is a 1/2 inch hole that I drilled. And then I'm just gonna push it up into these bolts right here. So now I'm just going to take some grade 8 locking nuts and start these right here, that way it don't fall and smash my toes. And then I'm going to put a washer and a locking nut on the back right here. So now all I have to do is just tighten everything up. This is a 3/4 inch wrench and a 3/4 inch socket that I'm using here. And now I can just put the 3/4 inch wrench on the back side of this mount. That's it. So you can see right here I have plenty of clearance under my oil pan, and I have plenty of clearance under this track bar. Sweet. So now I know that it is definitely not going to go anywhere. Not going to be seeing stress cracks or anything in the future. That is awesome. So between the Barnes steering brace and the Rusty's track bar brace and the unibody stiffeners, this front end is going to be super solid for sure. The next thing that I'm going to work on is this company, what is that, HW Star. They reached out and asked if they could send me some headlights. Like, sure. And that's been honestly a few months ago, so sorry about that. But these are the headlights that we're going to be running. Some pretty cool LEDs. These are plug and play. And basically got everything that we need. Hopefully won't need that. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and pop these in. I've got to find the screws to hold the headlights in. Okay, let me go find those. Whenever we were taking the headlights out a year or something ago, I believe we broke these, and we ordered some more, and I thought they came in 2s, but apparently they just came in 1. So I couldn't find any around my shop, but luckily the magical Cherokee grill on the wall came in clutch on that one. So now I've got the screws. Now all I'll do is just pop the headlights in and then put the retaining rings on, and hopefully it'll work. Check it out. The headlights work. That's cool. And they're really bright. You can't really tell inside of the shop with all the LEDs. But these dudes are extremely bright. And these are just the low beams. And judging by up here, it looks like they need to be tilted down more. But man, they look really good. This thing's starting to look like a Cherokee again. So the next thing that I'm going to do probably tomorrow is I want to push it out of the shop. I need to put gas in it. I need to get gas for it because it has literally a dry tank, and I don't want to turn the key forward and let that pump try to suck up nothing, because that's really bad for your fuel pump there. So I'll probably put some gas in it. I may try to back it out. It doesn't have any coolant in it, and I need to change the oil, but we are getting there. We are really close to getting this thing driving. And the reason I want to back it out of my shop is because I want to do a coolant flush in it, just because I want to get all that nasty gunk out of there. It's just good to do for Jeeps that have been sitting a long time, and this one obviously has been sitting a while. And I may end up giving this thing a good pressure washing, because it has, I don't know if you can see the roof there, probably an inch worth of welding dust and grinding dust and stuff like that. So it could definitely use a bath. But anyway, guys, I'm probably going to head inside. It's getting super late. But today is my birthday, so I turned 34 today. But it'd be really cool for a birthday present if you would hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel for sure. So this is the next morning. I went ahead and put 5 gallons worth of gas in it. I did a coolant flush, and then I verified that it would crank up, and it does. So I didn't mess up anything during the whole process of rebuilding this. No gas leaks that I found. But I did find a brake line that was leaking. You can see right here. It actually broke in half once I started messing with it. So I'm going to be having to put some new brake lines on, but it's all good. So what I'm doing now is I'm about to fill everything up with coolant. I got to get the hoses back clamped, and then we can drive it back in the shop and fix the brake line. Check it out, it's purring like a kitten. So I did find a leak on this hose clamp right here. It looks like I probably may need to replace this hose at some point, but for right now it'll be okay. And getting a couple of bubbles out. Waiting for that thermostat to open. everything's looking pretty good. So I've got the Jeep back in the shop, and before I start diving into the brake lines, I'm gonna let the Jeep be cooling off because I have to reach my hand right down there where the header comes off and the exhaust is right there, so I don't want to burn my arms. So while I'm doing that, I went ahead and painted the winch mount. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get that winch mount on because I'm really tired of seeing it like that. So I went ahead and painted this with some black paint just because I was tired of seeing that white. And I went ahead and put this bracket on. What I had to do was just take 3 bolts out of the power steering pump, or the power steering box. I had to take these 3 bolts out and then put this brace on, and then I'll have to put some nuts and bolts through the unibody on that side. So yeah, let's do it. Well, my camera battery died right as I started putting the brake lines on, but I used the factory brake line right here off the proportioning valve, and then I have I don't know if you can see it, but right down there I have all new brake lines going to the rear. The old brake line was disintegrating, and as soon as I found the pinhole, I wiggled the actual brake line and it fell apart in my hand. So Chris is definitely lucky that it didn't disintegrate going down the road, because that would have been horrible. Man, that's really scary. So definitely check your brake lines on any of your older rigs. I mean, this one's a 2000, but it also has, you know, it had quite a bit of rust on it. But, you know, I checked all the rest of the brake lines. They looked okay, but we're just going to have to keep our eyes on those. So I went to O'Reilly's and they didn't have the correct size that I need, so I just had to get some copper line and make my own. But I like the copper line a lot better on these rigs anyway. That's all I used on that, was just copper lines all the way. I replaced every single brake line on this just because I didn't trust the brake lines from 1979. And if my young'uns are gonna be riding in it, I definitely want good brake lines. So the next thing that I'm going to do is probably bleed the brakes on this. So I have on the workbench right here the rear bumper that's going to be going on the back. And before, it was a straight tube that came out. And what I did was, let me get around here, was I just took some steel and welded a plate on it after I cut it like so, just to break up the squareness, because it didn't really match the back of the Jeep. But I think it looks all right. I don't know if he's going to keep this bumper forever or anything, but I just feel like, I don't even know if he asked me to do this, to be honest with you, but I think it looks cool, and he'll get over it if he doesn't like it. So what I'm doing is I'm taking some 3/16 metal and just capping it off like that. I need to shorten this piece up actually. But just capping it off like that, that way bees and stuff can't get in there, because there's obviously wasp nests in it, and there was a bunch of nasty stuff, so can't have that. So got the AC going. It's really hot outside. About to fire up the old Miller and get this thing tacked on real quick. So whenever I'm welding a pretty thick piece of metal, this is 1/4 inch right here, I like to heat it up just a little bit. That way it makes my welds prettier. And I believe it turns out prettier because the weld is not trying to heat up the metal, because the metal is already warm. I don't really know the scientific part of that, but you know, this is going to heat up pretty fast, where it's going to take a little bit of welds to get this heated up. So it just kind of helps out in the prettiness aspect. And since this is going to be scene. I want it to be pretty nice looking, so I'm gonna hit it with some MAP gas. So I have it tacked on right there, exactly where I want it. I do have to come get these edges off, but anyway, I'm gonna fully weld it and hopefully it turns out good. So I have a terrible paint job on the bumper, and now I'm going to try to wrestle this thing up here by myself. This ought to be interesting. So we are test driving the Jeep for the first time. Got some clanking going on. It sounds like it's wanting to go into four-wheel drive, but I don't know. So far it's driving really well, other than that clank. It sounds like the front drive shaft. And it does sound like it has sort of a motor tick to it. Need to investigate that. Hear it's a little louder, but I let off the gas and it goes away. So I figured out what that clanking was. Because I had put the transfer case drop on, it had actually jumped into part-time or full-time. So I believe it had dropped into full-time four-wheel drive on the transfer case right here. And so what I did was I just kind of popped it back in and it grinded a little bit, and then the noise went away. So it's pretty cool. Fixed it. So the Jeep did pretty good on its test drive. I'm letting the fans go right now, and if you see anything dripping, it's because I just pressure washed it. But man, does it look good to be out on the road and not in my shop. So you can see here how I did the bumper. I did paint it while the welds were hot, and that's probably why it looks terrible. I probably have to sand that back down and paint it. That side don't look that bad, but you can see here it's kind of a little departure angle. But I just feel like it kind of makes the Jeep flow just a little bit better in the rear. But overall, I am very satisfied. So I have a few more things that I want to do to this Cherokee budget build. I want to take it somewhere to get exhaust put on it and take it somewhere to get an alignment, just because that's something I really don't feel like doing in my shop. But anyway guys, I really appreciate y'all watching me finally get this Cherokee out of my shop. If you don't mind, hit that like button and make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any other content on this build. So we will be taking it to Uwharrie here soon, probably take it to the beach and stuff like that, just to kind of see if there's any kinks that we need to work out. before we take it on a serious rock crawling trip. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Taking it. So we will be taking it to Uwharrie here soon.